Hey guys, welcome to Let's Talk Television, where we talk about your favorite television shows. I'm your girl, D. Marie, and today we're going to be talking about legacies, like we always do. So today in particular, I wanted to revisit the topic of the Oracle's prophecy. I made a video on that early February, and that's actually my most liked and most viewed video on my channel. So I wanted to thank everybody who liked that video, watched it, and subscribed to my channel. Because of that particular video, and I made that way back in February. So the last episode that had aired at that point in time was What Cupid Problem, and we've seen a lot of episodes since then. As of me recording this video, the last episode that aired was episode 15, Life Was So Much Easier When I Only Cared About Myself, and this video is basically about the prophecy that was originally revealed way back in episode 7. It will all be painfully clear soon enough. So just like the last video, I'm going to take this line by line as we kind of crack this and see what's going on here. First line is, there are two prisoners. One is the master of his cage. The other returned home without power. So we already know that this is Kai Parker and the necromancer. Kai was the prisoner of his cage in the prison world. The necromancer returned home without power after Malivore released him. The next line here is, the sins of the father are visited upon the daughters, here and not here. So in my last video, I was speculating that it was obviously Alaric and his daughters, Josie and Lizzie, with his sin being putting those kids in the prison world for a crime that he didn't fully understand the entire scope of at that point in time. So my initial thought when I was making this video the first time around was the sins of the father were going to affect his daughters that were in the prison world with him. And then, his sins would carry over into the real world. However, reading it again, it kind of seems like it could be his daughters that were in the prison world with him and those that were not with him, meaning Hope, because he sees her kind of as a daughter, an additional daughter there. And I actually have a comment from my first video that I posted about the Oracle. And they are theorizing that the here and not here portion is referring to the father's Alarc's sins, or the students he trapped in the prison world, which is what I was speculating as well. However, this commenter believed that it's also speaking about Hope's father, who is not here because he's dead, and he thinks one of his enemies is going to come back to haunt Hope soon. I would really love it if the writers did this, and it would be a great way to, do a classic throwback to the originals. As much as I love that theory, I just don't think it's 100% accurate. The first thing, it says the sin of the father, meaning one, it's not plural, so there's only one father that is being referenced here. Additionally, I've noticed that the prophecy is going in chronological order. So first we had the storylines with Kai and the necromancer, and then getting sent to the prison worlds. And so it kind of would break the flow of it all being in chronological order there. But I really would love if, an old enemy from originals would show up. I think it would add a lot to the story and give it just a darker turn, just because we know Klaus's enemies are not anything that these kids have dealt with before. Definitely not in one episode. Monster of the Week would fit that format. But thank you so much for that comment, and I loved reading about your theory. But moving on to the next line, we have, a new hero rises but can be felled by the golden arrow. So at that point, I was kind of not sure if it was Landon or Wade. I thought it was Landon just because he's a main central character, and it turns out he is. And the last couple episodes, we've gotten to know a little bit more about his powers and those limits. So we already knew he had, the powers of resurrection. Now we know he can fly. And so that's the new hero who can be failed by the golden arrow. So I know some people were freaking out on social media because they thought for some reason that Landon was going to die. I don't share that same concern. Just because failed doesn't mean died or anything like that. So I'm actually looking at the Collins Dictionary online, and it actually says a To fail someone means you knock them down, for example, in a fight, and it lists some synonyms for that to be knocked down or striked down. So that just means that it's something that can hurt Landon for sure, but it doesn't say his ultimate ends. And I think it would be very weird structurally if you were to kill off a character without exploring the full force of their powers or take them away when they never knew what it was. So as Landon's been learning about his powers and abilities, so have we. And if we don't even know the full scope of his power, or if he's just a phoenix, people have been speculating that, he's a mix of the different monsters and creatures that have been put into Malivore. We only know about 2 of his abilities, and I'm sure he has more that we haven't explored yet. But moving on, the next line is the wolf among you has many faces, being Raphael. A lot of people were speculating that the necromancer had killed him and was controlling him. And this last episode here definitely confirmed all of those theories when he stuck the golden arrow into Landon. So the last line we have is when time fractures, darkness overwhelms, but the greatest destroyer of all is love. So obviously that first part is talking about Josie bringing the sand clock, which overwhelms her with dark magic. And the end part, the greatest destroyer of all is love. I originally speculated it was hope for a couple simple reasons. One, she doesn't have a line that speaks directly to her, and as the main character, I find that strange. And 2, she has a definite hero complex that has been prevalent throughout these last couple episodes here. And she has made it her business to save any and everybody that matters to her in some form or capacity. And I also believe it's hope because I feel like they've been foreshadowing a couple things to go along with this. So to me, that line means that Hope's love for somebody else is going to destroy her in some kind of way. So if you think back to episode 13, You Can't Save Them All, that was the episode with Kai Parker. Hope has to make a decision between, trying to help the Saltzman twins and a Lark or going after Landon. She ultimately makes the decision to help the twins and Landon, but that's obviously some internal conflict that she had struggled with, who to go for. Episode 14, There's a Place Where Lost Things Go. She talks to Raphael about how she thinks the universe just doesn't want her and Landon to be together. And then finally, this last episode, 15, Life Was So Much Easier When I Only Cared About Myself. Hope is entering Josie's subconscious in order to get Dark Josie to go away. But in the meantime, Landon was just stabbed with a golden arrow, and that was something that she was very fearful of because she wasn't sure if that would be the one thing that could kill a phoenix for real and not have him resurrect. So those couple instances right there have been kind of showing me Hope's internal conflict about what is the right thing to do. Should she pick who she loves or, her friends? And you can kind of see that conflict playing out several different times throughout these last couple episodes. And I think that is going to bring it to a head whenever she gets out of Josie's subconscious and she has to deal with Landon being incapacitated or hurt in some way. Like I said before, I don't think there's any way that he's dead. However, she's going to blame herself for whatever happens to him because she wasn't there to attend to his every beck and call and need from her. But that's actually all I have for you guys today. Make sure you leave all your comments down below with your theories about what's going to happen. There's only a couple episodes left for the rest of this season, and so this prophecy is coming to a head fairly soon. But other than that, subscribe to my channel for more Legacies content and like this video. Until next episode, guys.